Hi, life is good and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I just finished a small quilt that I am sending to my new granddaughter to use for tummy time. Tummy time doesn't take very long before they grow out of tummy time. Once they start crawling, they don't need the tummy time mat anymore. So what I'd like to do is make a sleeve for the back of it so that it can be used and hung on the wall in my granddaughter's bedroom. I'm going to show you how I make my sleeves. They're different from the traditional sleeves. The sleeve that I make can use either a rod or thumbtacks to hang up on your walls. It's really a neat sleeve. I haven't seen anyone else do one like it, and I think you'll enjoy it too because of the two options more than anything. And it's really easy to do. So let's get ready, and I'm going to show you how it's done. Have my finished hanger. It is turned right side out. I've folded it in half by putting the two ends together, found my center, and I've creased it with an iron. I've done the same thing with my quilt top. I have this clip up here to remind me that this is the top. I've made a crease with the iron right in my center, the same way I did with the hanger, by folding it in half and knowing where to put it. I made a nice long crease here that sort of stands up. I take my sleeve and I'm going to turn it so that the seam is facing the quilt back. This is what I'm going to sew in place right here. I'm evenly on here because of this crease. Now at this point I might smooth it out a little bit, and I could even come back with, after I pin it in place, with the iron to flatten it out some more. I'm going to start on one of my ends there, and I'll show you where I'm going to start there at the end. And take my clip off now. I don't need it there. I can put my clip if it's big enough, and it's not right there. What I'm going to start with right here in this space here is where I will start my sewing. I'm right-handed, so I'm doing it on the right hand. I'm going to start it right at the seam here, the bottom half of that seam, right where the seam it connects there. I am going to start hand sewing from here down to this corner, and then all the way across the bottom over to the bottom half, top of the bottom half of this seam right here. Let's get that done, and then I'll come back and show you how I finish it. So here's my quilt with half of the hanger done. I had started at this end, sewing from the seam down. This is the top of my quilt. This is the lower part of my quilt. Down to the edge here, and then straight across with an invisible stitch I used here, all the way across to the other end right here. And then I went up the side with just a whip stitch to the seam there. What I'm going to do today is the other side. It's not here. Most people traditionally will sew their hanger along this edge, and then you've got a sleeve that you can put a rod in, and you've got a sleeve you can put a rod in and hang it on the wall or wherever you'd like to hang it, and that's nice. But I am making it so that we can hang it also with thumbtacks if we don't want to use a rod. Now the way I'm going to do that is to take this other half, and that's going to be on the top, and I'm going to find my seam here and fold along that seam and make a new crease in my sleeve on the other side. So it's folding it in half. You can see I'm folding at the crease just all the way to the other half. This side is sewn down under here, sewn down. This part is not. So sewing on the crease, bringing it over here, all the way across, sewing on the crease. All right, I finished my last stitch, that long stitch to attach my hanger to the back of my quilt. Now I'm going to put a knot. I'm going to show you a simple little knot that I use. By the way, I use the invisible stitch here. That's why it you don't see anything here. Not necessary because it's on the back and it's not going to be seen. So I end it with a knot, taking my needle on one side of my last stitch and picking up just a small bite and coming up on the other side of my last stitch, making sure I don't see any needle here. Then I'm good to go. So I bring it in. I like to kind of keep my thread where I can see it coming together here, and then I do a double, take a double stitch in there and then tighten it up. It's tight. You can do it just one time. Sometimes I feel like I want to do it twice depending on what I'm sewing. What I do next is I take another small, I go into just the top layer of my backing, and I go down a ways into the quilt, making sure I haven't come through here. Then I just come up anywhere and I tighten it up and get my scissors close enough, not too close to where I bite into the fabric, and I do it and it's lost in the fabric there. So when I'm ready for hanging it, I'm going to be ironing it up here so that my hanger is ready to go up on the wall. And when I come back, I'm going to show you how I hang it with thumbtacks. Okay, I have finished putting my hanger on the back of my quilt. It's the same color, it looks good. What is different, as I told you before, is I have a flap now. Normally there is no flap and the hanger looks just like this. A rod goes through it, hangs up on the wall somewhere. I'm going to show you how to use the flap with thumbtacks. What I first do is fold my quilt in half, and I make a little finger pressing here so I can see where the center is. Then I determine where I'm putting it on the wall. My husband might measure to make a line even for me so I can get it straight. I see where my center is. My center is right here. I'm going to first put my first thumbtack in the center. Up towards the top of the fold. Voila! I have it in the center. Now I have to, this is the hard part, to make sure I have it hanging straight. This may not be straight. I have my husband help me. I have someone else usually help me. I look down here, make sure it's laying straight against the wall, and I come over here and I put a second one in back in this way here. And then I put my third one in over on this side. I usually have help in just making sure that it's straight. So this one may not be straight since I don't have help with me on that aspect. Now I can put more, 2 more thumbtacks here. I generally do to make sure it stays straight and not start sloping down. And then I have my hanging wall piece up here without a pole and just with thumbtacks. So I have 2 choices in making a sleeve to hang my quilt. I hope you like that. I hope you like this video, and I hope you will follow me and subscribe to my channel. Life is good. I like having you here too.